Marty is a project manager and entrepreneur from Palm City, Florida. Today, Marty will deliver a message from project number 1 in the entertaining speaker advanced manual entitled, "What the Heck is Data Crave?" Please help me welcome Marty Greene.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Why is your hand in front of my face? No, it wasn't a bully. It was my 7-year-old grandson on his iPad. He had called my wife and I on Sunday to chat with us on Facebook. He called from his room, and he wanted to talk to us by himself, and we were chatting for a while. My wife left the room and said, "Marty, you talked to him for a while," and we were talking about baseball. He's a Little League player and having a great time. All of a sudden, I see his hand all over the screen. I'm thinking to myself, "What are you doing, Bryce?" And he said, "I'm playing a game." At that time, I realized I was being multitasked. He was talking to me, but at the same time, he was playing a video game. I didn't even realize you could do that on an iPad, have 2 apps open at the same time. And I identified that horribly as data crave. What is data crave? It's the need to have stimulation and data coming at you even while you're performing some other task. It's people drinking and reading and listening on a phone call while they're watching a video, for instance. How bad is this problem? It's so bad that last Thursday was designated as National Single Focus Day. No, Single Tasking Day, sorry. Why would we need a National Single Tasking Day? Because everyone is multitasking. It's kind of like obesity. We know that 30% of adults are obese, and we know that child obesity is a really bad problem because when you become obese, you have metabolic syndrome and your body stops reacting to insulin sugar in a correct way, and it makes you sick. Well, data craving does exactly the same thing. It makes us socially isolated. This is what it was doing to Bryce, a 7-year-old. And it's probably what it's doing to us as well. Think about it when you're driving along and you're sitting, you see on the road next to you a person and they have their phone in their hand and they have their makeup in another and they're doing all these things while they're driving. You sit there and stay next to them, or do you get away as fast as you can? Probably the latter. I call that driving while craving. Nobody wants to be next to a driver who's craving. It's like driving while intoxicated, but really worse. It actually is one of the biggest causes of accidents now, more so than alcoholic. What's the impact? The impact is that it's really hard to get the message that somebody is trying to say when you know that they're distracted or when you're distracted. But what's the solution? If you are going to be a leader, and you're going to be a collaborative leader, and let's assume that you are because you don't want to be an authoritarian. In our day growing up, you could get away with being an authoritarian leader. People would follow you because we all were taught to respect our elders. Kids these days, millennials, are not that way. They want to be collaborated with. They want to be understood. If you don't believe that, look at the Parkland kids. They were hunted down, and everybody told them to shut up, but they are shouting louder than ever, and it's starting to reach because people want to collaborate. People want to be heard. And so if you want to be a mentor, if you want to be a coach, you need to be the best listener you can. Listening allows you to pull the message out of people. It allows you to pull potential out of people. It allows you to pull effectiveness out of people and allows you to teach them to be a leader. The opposite, if you want to be an authoritarian, it's a pushing mechanism. It's a cajoling method. It's a bullying method. Which kind of leader do you want to be? Now, there are different kinds of listening. It goes all the way back into the 70s. There used to be a book called Parent Effectiveness Training. And one of the things that they focused on was active listening. This was way back in the 70s. But what is active listening? Well, it was the idea to really focus on the person that's talking to you. But it wasn't really that clear. there was another version of that called teacher effectiveness training. And because I was a teacher, I took that course. But later on, Stephen Covey incorporated it. He included it in his first rule, his first habit, which was seek to understand, then to be understood. John Maxwell calls it intentional listening. Bob Berg and John David Mann, in their books, The Go-Giver, call it listen to learn. And this is the one that really attracted me, because I realized that if I could use listen to learn as a trigger, it would stop me from the digital craving. I could listen, I could focus, I could single task just by reminding myself to listen to learn. Now, the greatest gifts you will ever give someone, or that you will ever get someone, is to make them feel that they are being heard. Think about your own situation. Would you like to be felt like somebody is just off on their own while you're talking to them? Or would you want to be understood, to be heard? You can't be understood unless you're heard, correct? Well, think about that situation and think about how you would like to incorporate active listening, listening to learn, into your repertoire of coaching. Going back to Bryce, what really happened was we sat there together. He played his game for a while, and I said, Bryce, you're playing a game, and doesn't anybody pay attention to you? He said, no, really, no one ever pays attention to me when I play my game. Nobody ever visits me or spends time with me when I'm playing my games. So we made up that every Sunday, he's going to call me on FaceTime, and I'm just going to watch as he does this, and he plays his game. Madam Toastmaster?